What's up, Amazon sellers? If you're thinking about getting started on wholesale and want to learn how to grow to 7 figures, then stay tuned. I'm interviewing Jonny Smith in his warehouse and I'm going to learn all about it. Stay tuned. Jonny, thank you so much for having me here. Obviously today I am, should we say, blessed to come join you in your amazing warehouse, and obviously what an amazing place it is. Now, today we're going to be very much talking about, should we say, your journey growing wholesale on Amazon and going to 7 figures. But if anyone doesn't know who you are, can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Yeah, I'm Jonny. I'm an Amazon seller. I do a bit of property, sort of all sorts of entrepreneurial, sort of different things. And I've been selling on Amazon for 3 years, and 3 months ago moved into this warehouse. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. So you said you've been selling on Amazon now for about 3 years, but I know obviously off camera, you've got a little bit of history prior to that. So how long have you been doing the whole kind of like e-commerce, kind of entrepreneurial, how long has that game been going on?
So I started 15 years ago on eBay, and kind of dabbled in private label. Didn't have the tools back then. I didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't have the communities and stuff like that. But I was selling ties, sandals, swagways, stuff like that. And 15 years, I've always loved it. It's been my sort of passion since.
Oh my God, a real entrepreneur. And hey, the one thing which I will say is obviously, it's the first time I've met you in person, and obviously thank you for inviting me and obviously the audience in today.
Good to have you.
It's a real pleasure to obviously, and it's amazing to obviously see what you've achieved here. So obviously you're in a warehouse, and if I'm right in thinking you've just started in this warehouse, is that right?
Yeah, so we moved here 3 months ago. Okay. Getting the lease took a long time. So we actually planned this out last November, last Q4. Before we were at a prep center. Now it's a completely different dynamic being in a warehouse. It completely changes the game. Yeah.
And if I'm right in thinking, obviously right now, are you doing a blend of OA and wholesale, or is it 100% wholesale, or are you even doing private label?
It's 100% wholesale. Yeah.
Fantastic.
The occasional Ocado order just to sort of fill in the gaps, if I'm sort of short, but 100% wholesale makes it easier for me. It's more, it removes admin and stuff like that, and I love it, yeah.
Fantastic, cool. So question for you, obviously you've been 3 years, just over 3 years now doing Amazon, you're now doing 100% wholesale, and you're in this amazing warehouse for like 3 months. It's kind of like 333. And the question I was want to ask is, tell me about that journey. So why did you get started on Amazon? Why Amazon? Obviously you've got an entrepreneurial background, why Amazon?
FBA, hands off, being able to send in your goods to Amazon. Completely changed the game. When I was doing eBay before, you had to individually send out each item. It took time. I couldn't do like property and my other entrepreneurial things. So with Amazon, it's quick to scale, quick to get big, and that's what happened. And with my background of e-commerce, and I did sales and business development, purchasing, it was just for me. It was the one for me. Yeah.
So, and if I just clarify, so you're saying the advantages to Amazon are because of FBA, is that right?
Sure. So the fulfillment centers, be able to send your stock in and leverage their space and their fulfillment, their same day delivery, and it's just. It's very easy to get started because you can outsource the majority of the work through all sorts of different things. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so tell me about that journey. So you started on Amazon. FBA was something that really appealed to you. And hey, I know that. My God, I live in Mexico. Like, I cannot do it without FBA. So tell me about that journey. You started on Amazon. Tell me about the journey up to here. How did it get started?
I actually started on retail arbitrage with a mix of OA, and I got suspended for 4 months. So I went to Home Bargains, bought a Spider-Man walkie-talkie, and then some of the receipts don't have the invoice information, and Amazon back then were giving out random authenticity checks, and it took me about 3 to 4 months to get unsuspended. And after that, I was like, you know what, I don't want that again. I'm going to concentrate on wholesale and making sure everything's online. No more retail arbitrage because I don't want to risk it. And it kind of scaled from there because I realized wholesales, it really incorporates my sales abilities and everything I knew from before. Yeah.
Well, quick, just come back to that retail arbitrage. Come back to that point you were suspended, and you said 3 to 4 months.
Throughout the whole Q4.
I'm not going to lie. I would probably I'm out of here. I'm going to go do another model. Why did you stay in? You were suspended. You couldn't do anything. Why? What made you stay with the Amazon model?
I love purchasing, I love sourcing. I worked as a sort of purchasing manager doing quotations, and I worked in sort of electronic components before. So I was sort of doing all sorts of different sourcing. I felt it really matched my skill set. I felt I was really good at it. I think I just got a little bit unlucky with the retail arbitrage, which a lot of people start with. I just got unlucky with the random authenticity check. So make sure you have the right receipts, or you might miss a Q4 and yeah.
No, I know, and hey, that's a really common thing, especially with retail arbitrage. The receipts are like generic toy.
Generic toy, Spider-Man walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Who bought this? It could be anyone.
Exactly.
And that's what Amazon are thinking.
So you suspended for 3 months,
Yep.
you got yourself back on, made the decision to go wholesale. Why, should we say, why wholesale? Just, why did you change the transition? I think you mentioned it earlier, but just clarify that.
I knew that you would get proper invoices from wholesale. I know of online arbitrage, you can get the proper receipts. It takes a little bit more admin work. With wholesale, you'll get the invoices straight to your email, which you can then forward onto your accounting software. And I worked with wholesalers before in electronics and stuff like that, and I think it was just the route to go. I enjoyed that part of business relations and finding new suppliers, and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you started on wholesale, and obviously we're here today in the warehouse. We've only been here 3 months.
Yep.
So did you prep from home? How did you deal with the logistics of wholesale?
So I had a prep center for a year, but my issue was I scaled a little bit too quickly. My prep center at the time were moving warehouses, so finding new staff, and at the same time I was scaling quickly. And if you see sort of this 3,000 square foot is completely maxed out, so it's a lot. It takes a lot for a prep center to take this sort of volume on, because I'm a high volume seller, with lower price point goods.
I know, and I could tell, like, my God, when I walked in,
Yeah.
I was like, how long have you been here? Like 3 months. I was like, it looks like you've been here for years. Yeah. And obviously you filled it up very quick, and obviously utilising the space, obviously well done. So if I just kind of clarify, you're doing Amazon about 3 years now, and just by the kind of time frames that you're talking about, maybe like a year retail OA, and then you've been doing wholesale a year and a half. Does that be right?
Wholesale, yeah, it's coming up to 2 years now.
Okay.
Where I've been just focusing on wholesale. Yeah.
And obviously now if I'm correct in thinking, you've broken 7 figures for the last 12 months. Is that right?
Yeah. So consistently doing over 100,000 a month. And I think it's only up from here as we sort of improve our operations. I think it would be, if we could stay with the prep center, it'd probably be higher, just because of that sort of teething issues and moving to a warehouse. So it's something to watch out for when you first move into a warehouse. You've got to hire the staff, and obviously you use a prep center. They've got those systems in place already. So next year, it'll hopefully be a lot higher.
I don't know. We've had a lot of conversations today, just obviously off camera, where you've been talking about, we're talking about our businesses, and you're talking about not just the business itself, but also managing staff and the operations behind running a warehouse, and that's another component to think about. So, we talked about it, said I couldn't do that. I'm in Mexico, but it's one of the advantages of having a prep center. So it kind of leads me nicely on to, why a warehouse? You had a prep center, you had an easy life, you're doing wholesale. Yes, they struggled, but the whole, my God, as we grew, my warehouse struggled, but it takes time, but they would have solved it. So why did you choose to get your own warehouse?
I felt it was the next step. I want a big business. I know some people are sort of satisfied with the online arbitrage and sort of keeping a lower number. And I thought the most logical step to get to be a giant seller was to have my own warehouse space. The other sort of advantage is is saving money on storage. It's also sort of doing seller fulfilled Prime, merchant fulfilled, sort of eBay, and all those sort of things. With a prep center, it costs sometimes £2 to do a merchant fulfilled order plus delivery. Also, my FBA sort of turnaround rate is very long, so I thought I wanted to reduce this. And I think with economies of scale and growing this warehouse, it will become cheaper. And I thought to myself, eventually I will be able to make it offhand with supervisors and managers at the warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot there that you just said. And if I kind of, my God, if I just kind of think about it, you're like, I want to go to a big business.
Yeah.
Also as well, you're looking at different, should we say, last mile,
Yeah.
so fulfillment options, and not just FBA, but also merchant fulfilled, seller fulfilled, Prime.
eBay, on buy,
Yeah, and also even different marketplaces as well. So let me ask you a question. You talked about a big business. What is a big business? What's the goal? Where do you want to be?
I'm I know it's sort of number space, but I want to be 8 figures in pounds, not dollars. And I wanted to be able to see it. I wanted to see it with my own eyes, the operation. I feel like I can build a lot more relationships. I can sort of understand my sort of stock a bit better, have my own warehouse. And I felt like the only way to sort of grow to the next thing is to get my own warehouse. I just don't think a prep center, unless they're giant, would be able to take the sort of capacity of doing 20,000 units a month to Amazon. And maybe they could do it, but it would be a lot slower. And I just thought it was the next logical step.
Question for you, and I think this is something important if anyone is thinking about, should we say, going into a warehouse. I'm not going to ask you what you were paying and what you think you might be now, but like, what kind of cost saving have you seen on, should we say, per unit basis or do you expect to see once it's fully operational? Because I appreciate you've only been here a couple of months.
Yeah.
How much do you think you're going to save by moving into your own premises on a per unit basis?
Sure. I mean, honestly, the reality is when you first move in, you'll be paying more per unit. Your time will completely go, of course, as well. There's a lot of disadvantages to getting your warehouse. You ruin that sort of Mexico lifestyle. Well, for now anyway. But as you sort of get bigger, you save a lot of money on storage. So storing these pallets in your own warehouse, you save a lot. Yeah. So if this was all stored at Amazon, you could be paying £1,000 a month on that. Sort of with your own merchant fulfilled sort of items, for here is about 40-50p it costs me per unit. At a prep center it'd be £2. And it's really making the most out of your space. So again, a conveyor, all the different packing stations, again, the systems. And another big for me is so I can implement my technology and my software into all the different sort of packing things. So eventually, I was paying 50p. And I want to get that down to half, and then when you start doing sort of full truckloads and stuff like that, it would get even lower. Wow. So I'm sort of seeing ahead. At the moment, it's more expensive.
Whenever you start any business, you always invest. There's always those costs kind of up front, and we take like 5 steps forward and then like 2 steps back. Definitely. And definitely for you, you said like my goal is 8 figures. It's not I'm going to make a little bit more money. It's like no, I'm willing to make no money for the next year, but I know that 3 years after that we will make really good money. Yeah. But it's always investing for the long term. You mentioned a lot more there, and interesting. I really like the fact that you are looking about. You said 50p going down to 25, and then even looking even lower than that. And I think if anyone is looking to scale, definitely something really to think about. And also you talked about as well, your model is volume. Yes. And obviously paying per unit really adds. Exactly. Up. So again, you're adding so much to my list of questions. So you also talked about software. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. You talked about merchant fulfilled, seller fulfilled prime, and obviously FBA is what you were doing before. Why are you looking at the other options? Surely that's making more work for you. What's the advantage?
So SFP and merchant fulfilled, you can sell that stock straight away. So it comes through the door and you can start selling it. With Amazon, there could be a 1 to 2 weeks sort of turnaround rate, as in prep time, checking it in, the sort of delivery time. So you're saving sometimes 1 to 2 weeks on that turnaround rate of your stock. You can implement other different strategies like minimum order quantity, which came out in the UK this year, which makes your margins really good actually. And of course, it's just, the other thing is you can list on multiple SKUs and ASINs. So when you send one off to Amazon FBA, that's it, that's the ASIN. If you're from a merchant fulfilled, you can have that one product and list it on 20 different products. So it gives that option as well.
That's
so
like
you can
bundle pack 1 or single, bundle 2, bundle 4, bundle 6.
So that one item can be exposed, I guess, to 20 different listings, right? So then what you'll see on Amazon is that your sort of ASIN count will be a lot higher than FBA, because you can have that flexibility of how you list it. Fantastic. Which is, I think, a really good advantage.
And I think the interesting thing is obviously since being here, just before we started filming, obviously a delivery or a collection came. Yeah. I think it was like one of your suppliers, not suppliers, it was a collection.
Royal Mail, I think, yeah.
And interesting, obviously, you said, one of these products going out was merchant fulfilled, and it was sold out in a few hours. It's only just arrived in, merchant fulfilled, straight out again. And that's the money turning around, no 2-week wait. So probably another real advantage of having your warehouse, different fulfillment options, churning money quicker, doing different options as well.
Yeah, you're diversifying your strategy. Obviously everyone knows about the stock limits at FBA. Well, if you have your own warehouse, then that's probably better for me actually, because then I have the other fulfillment options. So, it diversifies your business a little bit, doesn't it? By having the different fulfillment centers and yeah.
Definitely. You mentioned about it earlier. You talked about software, creating software. Tell me about that. Why are you doing it? Surely there's enough software out there. My God, there's millions of sellers out there selling on Amazon. Surely you can buy something. Why create your own?
I think every software is very unique to you. Obviously, there is like softwares like Scoop Banner and stuff like that, but you're looking up to a couple of thousand a month and stuff to pay for those. And I think every business is different, and if you can sort of fine tune those different softwares and inventory managements to work for your business, so it sort of collates all the different softwares you use. So when you're building your own software, all I'm doing really is collating different sort of APIs and pulling from different sources and putting it together so it's easier to manage. So for the warehouse, one of the things I'm building is so you can scan the barcode of a product, and then the packer will be able to add that to the shipment there. So stuff like that, it really helps with the operation. And if you're outsourcing a prep center, it's got to be a defined SKU, as in it gives a little bit more flexibility. So scanning a barcode, and they get a list of ASINs with our forecasting integrated with that, so they know exactly how many to send to Amazon, and it just saves that admin time. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Little things. It's like I could talk forever.
And hey, I know after this we're going to go grab some food, and I'm sure we'll be there all evening just talking about it. I think also as well, I think the interesting thing is, you mentioned it earlier, your model is very high volume. You're looking at turnaround, and it's about speed of buying it, getting it sold again. That's it. The quicker you can do that, and if you've got custom software, if you've got different fulfillment options, that really helps. So one thing I'd like to come back to, you talked about it earlier, you've done, let's call it a year and a half, I think you said. You've been doing the wholesale game, you were suspended for 3 months.
Yeah.
You're now doing over $1 million in the last 12 months, and oh my God, super impressive. And you've moved into a warehouse, you're a busy man, obviously you've got other things that you're working on, you talked about property as well. Reflecting on that journey, if anyone's watching now and they're like, hey, I want to copy what Jonny's doing, I want to be in your shoes in a year and a half time, what would you recommend from your journey? Maybe some successes you had that worked really well, and maybe some things not to do. What would you say?
That's a tough one. To be honest. It's been a very difficult journey. So I think I haven't got too many recommendations on that really.
What would you say don't do? To asking that, is there anything you say that you did that maybe you shouldn't have done?
In terms of moving to a warehouse, I think you should be prepared to sort of sacrifice your lifestyle for a bit, if that makes sense. So I think honestly having systems in place and really hiring out the sourcing, getting good at that, getting better at your methods and your sort of methodology. So do different sort of workshops, different courses to learn different sort of sourcing methods. Read sort of books on how to sell yourself and sort of how to find those sort of suppliers and relationships. And I think at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and it really is picking up the phone. So my recommendation is just to keep at it, keep learning, keep implementing, keep building systems, keep building software, and really reduce sort of admin time. And just really keep improving your system. And it's very slow. So what I recommend really to most people is, this is a slow game. It takes a while to get to big. So just sort of keep working every month, keep trying to implement it and improve things every day. Yeah.
Quick question for you: if anyone's watching right now, they want to get into wholesale, and maybe they're calling people up, and you say keep at it. Give me a quantifiable, like if I'm going to start wholesale tomorrow, and hey, I'd like to start it next year, how many suppliers should I be calling every day or contacting every day or every week? Give me a rough estimation. What would you recommend?
You know what? As much as you can. So it's more the sourcing part. You just go through that leads. Try and do one a day, I'd say. Obviously, when you first start off, there'll be a lot more. So it's really just trying to source those supply list and trying to do as much as you can, really. But I don't think call too many because until you're good, learn from that first call and pick up on like what they're saying and. Make changes to your strategy, your sales pitch, and try and figure out what they want and what your sort of USP in your business is, so you can actually start a relationship with them and be transparent. Tell them that you sell on Amazon, because everyone sells on Amazon these days, and if you're not, you're missing out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's an interesting thing, is the fact that You're saying, build relationships. You've got to keep working with them, and also understand their objections, not just no, next one, but like, why? Learn from your mistakes. Can I ask you a question? Let's say, for example, how often would it be that you open up a new supplier? My God, you're calling, no. Like, how often would you find, obviously you're on the phone a lot refining your process, but how often would you open up a new supplier?
There's a lot of wholesalers which are very easy to open accounts with, but I find there's sometimes wholesalers behind a wholesaler. So someone have a trade account, but behind that you can you can get even better deals, sort of thing. So honestly, I think if you can get a good wholesaler that you purchase stock from once a week, I think that's a good start for sure. I'm happy if it's 1 or 2 a month now, because I've got about like 30 or 40 different suppliers now I buy from. So I think you're off to a good start if you're doing 1 a week. That's fantastic, honestly. Yeah.
And can I ask, obviously, if someone's starting out and they maybe want to open up that one successful wholesaler a week whereby they can purchase, i.e. find deals, how many calls might they expect to make before that? Obviously, they're going to open up them, analyze the deals, nothing, open up other ones, analyze the deals. Oh, we found the one this week. Give me a rough estimation. What might they expect? Is it like 5 wholesalers to call, or is it like 50?
I actually think it's a lot easier than people make it out to be, and I'd say 1 every 2 should be.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot easier than, especially nowadays where wholesalers are a lot more susceptible to Amazon sellers. So as long as you're pitched down, I'd say 1 every 2, really. You've got to think, why would they reject selling to you? Sometimes they want to support the high street and stuff like that. But apart from that, they usually, they want to do business, right?
They want to make sales, I'm guessing.
As long as you have, a professional email, professional website, your pitch is sort of not all over the place, and you tell them you're nice on the phone, and I'm sure they want to do business with you. It's a lot easier, I'd say, than it's made out sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Obviously, I read the forums, I read the things, and I'm kind of like, do I have to make 50 phone calls and I might get 1? So that's certainly very interesting. And thank you for sharing that.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just, again, have your templates, get those emails and keep chasing up every week, and, get on the phone and start with the email template. You don't have to call them up. If they ignore you, then call them up. But, sometimes a nice email that makes sense, tells you about your business very quickly, keeps it short, what value you can give them. It usually works pretty well, I find. Yeah, in the UK anyway, yeah.
Well, if I summarise what you kind of explained here, I just want to make sure I get it right. So, first things first, it's a slow journey. It takes time.
Oh, yeah.
And prepare to put your life on hold. It's
opening a warehouse. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, I agree. And also as well, I think don't be afraid to get out there and make phone calls. It's actually easier than a lot of people say it is, but make sure you've got a professional website, professional email, you come across well. Also as well, learning from your mistakes. I'm guessing from you've probably made a lot of mistakes and learned from them. Also, you did mention you had previous experience, so maybe you might have a higher success rate than others. It doesn't mean that other people can't do it, because we're all equal.
Yeah.
And then it takes time, and you said obviously once you reach a certain level, consider a warehouse, and it depends on your model. You're doing the high volume model.
Lower price point,
Lower price point, high volume, and I certainly understand it's very common in the wholesale market. And when you do that, having a warehouse is a real advantageous, because quicker turnaround, lower cost per unit, and also looking at other fulfillment options, like we saw today, shipping out. So that really helps you scale. And then I think the final thing, which I will say with that, is have a big goal. You're talking 8 figures, and invest. Yeah, like you said it like, I'm losing money right now, and like people are like, oh, and you're like, it's okay.
Yeah.
This isn't, you look at 1 month, that's it, you failed. It's look at the whole time frame of doing business and where you're going to. And losing money is you're investing the money back in the business, and
it's not losing. It's if you look at you're investing in stock, and
I know, it's fantastic.
No investments.
So Jonny, thank you so much for sharing, and obviously thank you for inviting us to your warehouse and obviously showing me around as well. If anyone wants to get in contact and obviously kind of learn more about you and maybe join a group that you're in, what would you recommend? How can they do that?
Sure, I've got a Facebook group called Amazon Entrepreneurs. I sort of give out daily content on that. I run sort of workshops weekly, which is to do with sourcing. I've been in sort of purchasing for a very long time. I feel that's sort of my strongest point. So yeah, join my Facebook group and get involved. I'm pretty good with systems, software, sales, and sourcing. That's sort of my expertise. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll drop a link down below to his group, so do check that out. Really good. Well, Jonny, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure, and obviously I will let you get back to obviously scaling your business to 8 figures. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you.